interesting. When I first came at the end of 2010, I had this sense that this was about a 10-year piece of work, as it were, 10-year calling. And that's how it seems to have turned out. I won't actually go until next year, by which time I'll be 65, so I think that's a reasonable age to retire. But as it's worked out with the whole coronavirus thing and such like, actually it's going to be for somebody else to lead the diocese into the next phase, and therefore that seems to work okay actually, so maybe in God's providence this is the right moment. I've hugely enjoyed my engagement with parishes, with communities, with the different initiatives we're involved in. Those times when a bishop has an opportunity to be on the ground and to mix with people, to visit particular projects and those kinds of things. And I dare to hope that my engagement there's offered some encouragement at different times. I've been really excited by the quality of people who've come forward for ordination during this time and the way in which that whole part of our work is done, and with them those who are offering for licensed lay ministry. Amazing resource, tremendous people with lots of gifts, real sense of vocation. That's been hugely encouraging, and each time I'm at an ordination service or a licensing for lay ministers, there's a real buzz about that, and it's a kind of statement of hope for the future. When you look at the partnerships we've formed with organisations like Home for Good, others around homelessness, around dementia care, of course, with our project there, around domestic violence, modern slavery, there's a whole list actually of particular initiatives that we've taken as a diocese to address some of the issues within our society and to demonstrate that the Church has a role there. And I think that's something I look back on with significant kind of satisfaction, if one's allowed to have that sort of thing. I was destined for a career in finance and business, I think. That was probably what certainly my father had in mind for me. And it was only, I think, when I stepped back from that and asked, well, is this really right for me? And the influence of Christian friends and clergy when I was at university, which led to a sort of reassessment, and this calling emerged at that stage. So then, having studied politics and economics, I then went back again around the system, as it were, to do theology, and that led to ordination in 1981. My experience is that God often leads one in ways that you don't realise until after the event. So it's not about a sudden revelation that A or B or C is the right thing, but it's actually as you reflect on where you are and so forth that you begin to see patterns and such like, which you then understand as being God's guidance. So for example, there had always been something, certainly since theological college days, which was prompting me towards ministry in an inner city environment, in an urban environment. My curacy was in a more suburban place. And for a number of years, Bridget and I, when we went up on holiday to Scotland, which we did, we drove from where I was a curate through the centre of Birmingham. And I remember us having these conversations about this potential for calling to inner city ministry. And I remember looking to one's right as I drove out the Aston Expressway from the centre of Birmingham and seeing this area of high-rise tower blocks and thinking to myself, yeah, but I'm not quite sure that's urban. That was precisely the parish we ended up in, that one just to the east side of the Aston Expressway. But I'm very clear that that was part of God's guidance, that's where we ended up for 11 years. And in many ways, 11 years, which as I look back from some distance now, were hugely important for us as a family as well as for me as a priest. And so it's through this combination of events, of people that you meet, of things that are said, of opportunities which open up, that I kind of discern that call of God, really. When the group first started to meet that was charged with steering the thing through, I have to confess I thought we would probably never get there. Because we deliberately, in the synodical process, created a diverse steering committee for the legislation of people of widely different commitments and views and convictions on the matter. So it felt, in human terms, really challenging. However, over that group meeting for many months and pretty intensively, somehow out of that there emerged a desire to see a way through. And even those who were opposed to the principle of the ordination of women as bishops and priests were actually wanting to see us find a way to do it, which was remarkable, really. So it was about 6 months before the final vote that I dared to believe we could get there. And then when we got to the final vote in General Synod, which took place in July at York, when the Synod was meeting residentially, I think that was the final one, clearly that was a huge moment. Safeguarding has clearly been a very big concern within the diocese and also nationally, and working out what the patterns should be, because we want our church to be a safe place for all within it. And we've had our particular challenges in relation to that in the Diocese of Rochester, not least with things going back many, many years, which have come to the fore during my time, but also the national frameworks as well, and being part of those discussions nationally. I think I hadn't realised until lockdown how much I value those occasions which are happening every week when I'm out there being part of the life of a congregation or a community. In my case, that's often licensings and institutions of new clergy, it's confirmation service, it's sharing with a community in some celebration or some mission initiative or something like that. And until I didn't have that, because we were locked down, I don't think I realised quite how important that is to me for my own spiritual well-being, that being part of the life of the people of God in different places. So that is something that's really important. The various groups of people with whom I work closely, the Bishop's leadership team, the staff here at Bishop's Court, and others within the life of the diocese in different ways. I mean, those relationships are really important, and the mutual support that one receives is really good. And then as a human being, those things which actually nourish me as a person. People know I enjoy choral singing and the different groups that I do that with, and again that's not around at the moment because choirs are not meeting really, but that's been important, and people will know I enjoy hurling myself down ski slopes and occasionally breaking bits of me as well. Those sorts of activities, and those are in my case activities I do with my wider family and friends. I've been learning over the last few weeks as well the importance of friendships. During lockdown, I've actually seen more of some of my friends because we've been meeting on Zoom than we do normally. People I might normally meet once or twice a year, actually we'll be meeting up much more regularly. And as I move towards retirement, it's actually nurturing friendships, really important. It will be a leaving in a strange time because of this uncertainty, and the world is going to be different, and therefore the life of the church will be different. What I can say is that even when we go through periods of significant change, of uncertainty and what have you, the Church of God has been around for a long time. The structures may change, the outward expressions may change, the patterns may change, and of course the people change. But actually at the end of the day, as we say quite often in our liturgies, God who calls you is faithful. And that's bedrock.